So hello everyone and welcome back to the P. Carroll Sport Podcast. Paul Carroll here, and on this week's episode we are looking ahead to a massive weekend of hurling in Tipperary. The County Senior, Premier Intermediate and Intermediate hurling semi-finals we're going to be looking ahead to today, and we also have three relegation finals to maybe not look forward to, but we're certainly going to talk through them as well on today's episode. As always, big thanks for the support on the last one. I set that like goal of 100 likes and we got there. So similar to this one, if we could get 100 likes on this one, we'd be doing well. So be sure to like the video below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If it's your first time watching, I make podcasts and videos every week about Tipperary hurling and things like that. So if you're interested, club scene, inter-county scene, subscribe down below and like the video. Right, let's get straight into it. Straight away you can see the result or the fixtures on the screen that we will be talking through here today. Of course, so many ones to look forward to. Lockmore Castellani against Holy Cross Ballycal and Drummond against Nina in the senior ranks. I'll give my predictions and we'll review it all then on next week's podcast, which will probably be Tuesday, I would say. Next week, Tuesday evening maybe, is when I'll get the review podcast out. So it's going to be a busy couple of days. I'm on commentary duty for 4 games this weekend, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, all those on Tip FM. Those are the Premier Intermediate and Senior semi-final double headers. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'll show you my notes as we go through. I do a sheet with just a way for me to kind of gather information before I'm doing a commentary about certain teams. Now I haven't it all filled out just yet, but I don't know, might give you a bit of an insight on what I do when I'm commentating and just how I kind of prepare for matches. It's just writing down the results and different stats here and there. It's nothing fancy or anything like that. So we'll go down through all that, and as I said, on the review podcast next week, we'll look back on all the results. So before we get started, if you follow me on Twitter or on Instagram, both at PCarrollSport, you might have seen that I have launched my fundraiser. I mentioned it on last week's podcast. I've been asked to do the Tipperary GA Quid Games, and basically for that we have to raise $3,000. And that goes to Tipperary GA. Anything you raise above that then goes to your own club or charity of choice. And then if you raise the $3,000, you can compete in the Quid Games on the night. It's like an event down in Templemore in December, and the winner of that wins like $10,000 for their club or charity as well. So it's it's probably worthwhile doing for everyone doing it. And yeah, looking forward to being a part of it. Coming up with $3,000 is a tough ask, and it's an awful lot of fundraisers going on at the minute because there's a lot of people doing it. So I just kind of come up, how am I going to raise $3,000? And I wanted to make sure that whatever I did was going to be maybe unique, and that also it would give people who are who are donating a chance to win something back. So what I've come up with, you might have seen earlier, is the 1,000 shot challenge. So you'll see it there. Yeah, you can see that on the screen. So basically, essentially what I'm doing is on the 1st of November, Saturday the 1st of November, weather dependent, I'm going to take 1,000 shots from the 65, probably over in Kilcolman in Burgess GA grounds, my home club. I'm going to take 1,000 shots. However many points I score from those shots will be the winning number. Let's say I score 350, I hope I score more than 350 out of 1,000. Let's say I score 700 out of 1,000 shots. Whoever has the number 700 wins €1,000. So you can buy one number for a fiver, or you can buy 5 numbers for 20 quid, and your number will be randomized. So you pay your 20 quid if you want to pay more, if you want to pay less. Let's say you pay 20 quid, you'll get 5 random numbers between 1 and 1,000. And come the day, if I score the number that you have, let's say we said 700, if I scored 700 exactly out of 1,000, you get €1,000 in cash. So that is the prize. I hope I've explained it well. I'll leave a link in the description below. If you're listening on Spotify, it will be in the Spotify description. If you're watching here on YouTube, it will be there as well. There's also a QR code that I will have on screen as well. So yeah, the page is on Eventbrite. It looks like this. There's an explainer there as well if you want to know more about it. And yeah, if you want to buy the tickets, this is the place to do it. Just click buy tickets. Now there is a fee on Eventbrite, which is annoying. So the €5 ticket is there, and the €20 for 5 numbers is there as well. So look, any support at all would be greatly appreciated. It should be a bit of crack. I'm going to live stream the 1,000 shot challenge the day I'm doing it. That will be just something I'll do. I'm thinking as well of 1,000 shots is a lot, so I might try and maybe get a couple of the tip lads in or something like that to hit a few with me, and we'll chat to them as well on the live stream. So that should be something to look forward to come the start of November. All weather dependent. If it's some miserable day, teeming down rain, I'm not going to be able to really set up a laptop out in the middle of Kilcoman and hit 65s. Well, I will be able to do it, but I just wreck all my equipment, so I don't want to do that. So it will be weather dependent, but look, any support will be greatly appreciated. I know you're here to listen about what I think of the semi-finals, but I will leave the link below. Any support at all, greatly appreciated, as I said. So yeah, that's that. That is the Quid Games fundraiser. Good few entries already. So again, get your 5 numbers. You have a good chance of winning £5,000. Sorry, not £5,000, £1,000, €1,000. But that is there, Eventbrite. And yeah, all the links are over my Twitter. It's my pinned tweet there, so you can't miss it. So yeah, any sort of support, and I'll be indebted to you. So yeah, that's something to look forward to. We'll talk about that more in the coming weeks in terms of who I might get on and the exactness of it. But yeah, if you want to enter that, that'll be a big help. Right, let's push on now. And I do have a QR code that I will throw up on the screen there. How do I do that? There we go. Right, there we go. That's that QR code set up there. Right, let's get into the meat of it. So, God, these games this weekend, I'm really looking forward to. We will start with how they're listed on the screen in front of me. Lockmore Castellani against Holy Cross Ballycal. I love the matchup here, just for the storyline, really. Lockmore Castellani, the reigning champions, they've seen it all before, they've done it all before. All these players have a couple of county medals in their back pocket against the Holy Cross Ballycal team, who everyone on this team is playing in their first county senior hurling semi-final. Holy Cross's last appearance at this stage of the county senior hurling championship was in 1999. They were beaten that day by Tumivara. So it's been a while for Holy Cross. It's been 26 years. So they're back at this stage with a really young team, in contrast to Lockmore's. Not that Lockmore are a very old team, but it's just maybe inexperienced compared to the experience of Lockmore. So I love the storyline there. There's also the added fact of Aidan Stakelum, the coach for Holy Cross Ballycal, Holy Cross man himself, coached Lockmore Castellani last year. So that's another wrinkle. And then you've such good matchups that we're going to talk through as well. And there was a question from a listener. If you ever want to send in your questions, down below in the comment section here on YouTube or on Spotify, or at P Carroll Sport on Twitter, send me a DM, message me that way. Same over on Instagram. If you ever want to get a question in or something I should bring up. But there was a question in about how Holy Cross was set up against Lockmore Castellani, and more in particular against John McGrath. And the listener was saying, will they put Carl Barrett on John McGrath? And they questioned, would he have the discipline maybe for John McGrath? And then they also put forward that maybe Cathal O'Reilly could go on him, but would he have the experience to deal with John McGrath, or would they put a sweeper? So I'm sure those are conversations that Aidan Stakelum and Brendan Ryan and the Holy Cross management team are having this week in terms of, right, how are we going to set up against John McGrath? He's Hurler of the Year nominee. He's probably in the form of his life. If I can pull up my stats on how much he has scored this year, there's some crazy stats, but while I'm just chatting away, let me get that up. Sorry, no, I should have had this brought up, but John McGrath has scored something scandalous this year. I wanted to bring this up. This is another one of my 2025 championship scores. And if we go down to Lockmore Holy Cross, there we go. Can you see that well on the screen? It's not too bad. John McGrath is here. 439 is what he scored. So this is another thing I put together before doing matches. You'll see I have the players for the team against in all their matchups and what they scored. So you'll see John McGrath scored 2-6 against Drum, 12 points against Brackens, 111 against Lura, 1-7 against Toom, so a total of 439. So he takes watching, that's for sure. I would imagine that what they will do, and I'll leave that there if you want to just have a look through it, what Holy Cross Ballycal will do is they'll just put Cathal Barrett on John McGrath. I don't think you need to complicate that too much. The lads would have marked each other how numerous times throughout their career in matches, and hundreds of times I'd imagine inside and tip training down through the years, so they'd be well used to each other. Cathal Barrett is in really good form, matches up probably pretty okay physically with John McGrath. John McGrath obviously a bit of a bigger fella, but Carl Barrett, very good when the ball's on the deck, very strong, very aggressive. Probably what you need against someone like a John McGrath. So I would imagine they'd do that. Now, like Jim Ryan is a very comfortable sweeper. I'd imagine he will set up sitting back to a certain degree. Toomey Vara probably made that mistake of not having Liam Ryan sitting back enough in the early exchanges of that quarter final, and they paid the price of Lockmore just being able to get those early goals. So that's something I'll be really interested to see that when this game starts. Will Holy Cross drop back Jim Ryan in front of John McGrath? If so, how do Lockmore deal with that? Who marks Noel McGrath? You could put a Joe Caesar on a Noel McGrath, and that would be a good matchup from a Holy Cross point of view, I think. But Noel McGrath is Noel McGrath. He is going to get on ball. He's going to hurt you. You're just trying to have to minimise that as best you can. So those are some really intriguing matchups. Then at the other end, how do Lockmore match up against Holy Cross? Lockmore would have much more physically developed players, I would say, than Holy Cross. Holy Cross are young, and the likes of a Lorcan Egan might mark a Robbie Ryan, and Lorcan Egan would be a bit stronger. Willie Evanston likewise. Now, if Mikey Nally is full forward, then or Darragh Woods, that causes Lockmore a bit of problems as well. So the matchups here are really intriguing. What do they do with Brian McGrath when he's centre back? Will Owen Craddock go at centre forward? Will they have someone else come out? It's really, there's so much to look forward to in this game. I do think Lockmore are physically stronger, and as the weeks and months tick on, we're into October now, conditions get a little bit heavier. They suit more physical players, more experienced players, you'd say, and that would tilt the favour in Lockmore's balance. But this Holy Cross team have been exceptional throughout the year, and they have exceptional young players that we've mentioned, and they can hurt you with goals. We saw that against Cashel, Robbie Ryan getting 2, Joe Caesar got a goal, Owen Craddock got a goal. So it's going to be a really intriguing game. There's a few things there that I mentioned that, when the match starts, you'll be looking to see, right, who's on Noel McGrath, who's on John McGrath. Who is there a man marking job in the Lockmore defence? Brian McGrath, you'd imagine is going to be setting up centre back, but there's so much to like about this matchup. It's on RTE. The cameras are coming down. Semple Stadium, 4:10. Strange enough throw-in time, but that's what time it's on. So I can't wait for this one. But who do I think is going to win is the next question. Look, we're 61% for the year in our predictions. It's going to be another really tough one to call, and I know that's such a kind of cop-out thing. But in fairness, I haven't copped out of any of my predictions. I've gone with who I think is going to win. I could see both teams, I couldn't see both teams winning this game because that's impossible, but I could see either one of these teams winning the game. I do, in my head, have a leaning towards Lockmore Castellani. It's the easier team to pick, really, isn't it? And I also haven't added a prediction column there. Sorry, no, this is more on the edit column to the left, right? Let's just call this prediction. And there we go. Right, that should have been done earlier. So this is terrible for the listeners. I'm just altering the Excel doc. So right, who do I think is going to win? As I said, I can make a case for either team. I think Lockmore, just the experience, I kind of need to see them bet before I believe it. But Holy Cross, such a young team. I've mentioned it, all the under-21s, the 10 or 11 under-21s from last year that are starting this year, and how exceptional they are. Brian O'Mara is going to be a really interesting matchup as well. I would imagine he probably matches up best with Ed Connolly, and Ed Connolly does take watching. I think Holy Cross's top players match up quite well with Lockmore's threats. So if it was a Carl Barrett on a John McGrath, there's not too many better lads you could have to mark John McGrath in club hurling in Tipperary. So that's pretty okay for Holy Cross. If it comes to Noel McGrath, a Joe Caesar is kind of well matched up to a Noel McGrath just to stick with him, and has plenty of hurling himself and can kind of hurt Noel McGrath going the other way. So that's an option. Brian O'Mara, would he sweep? He could possibly he could also go on John McGrath, which would be a good matchup. He could also go on Ed Connolly and be able to keep up with his kind of athleticism and physicality. So I think Holy Cross actually do match up well with Lockmore's best players, but it's maybe how do they match up around the field in terms of physicality and just the fact that they're young and some of them are slight and could they get bullied off the ball a bit in ruck balls and things like that from just a more physically stronger and older Lockmore team? That'd be my only issue. Holy Cross have all the hurling in the world. They can hurt you going forward. They play a really good brand. But when I just add it all together in my head anyway, Lockmore have all the experience. This is not new to them. This is a new, for every one of those Holy Cross Ballycal players, this is a new thing. And I know that does that count for much? They've all played in Semple Stadium before. They've all played in big matches before. This is a county semi-final. It's on national TV. I just, for those reasons, and of course the quality of Lockmore Castleiney, let's not forget about that. That kind of goes without saying. I'm just going to go with Lockmore to win this game. Those are my reasons. That's just how I see it. Could I see Holy Cross winning this game and really announcing themselves as, the next in line from this brilliant underage group that have come up probably quicker than people have expected and have gotten to a county senior final? Could I see that the case? I could see that as well. But I'm just going to go with Lockmore Castleiney. Right, that is my prediction for the first of our Dan Breen semi-finals. The second one then is on Sunday. This is at 4 o'clock on Sunday in Semple Stadium, of course. Drum and Inch against Nina Rogue. Let me bring up my stats for this game. If I go here, and where do we have Drum and Inch Nina? I don't have much filled out at the minute, but you can see the results and things like that. Let me make that a little bit bigger for you. 150. Yeah, that's probably okay. Maybe I can make it a little bit bigger. And I need a producer, really, don't I? But anyway, here's what I'm looking at. Just the general details for when I'm commentating is who's referee, who's sponsoring the game, etc., who I have on co-commentary. Last meeting, the results, some talking points to talk about on air before the match, and then a couple of just notes and stats that I haven't filled these out fully at all. I'll do that kind of Friday. But yes, the results so far: Drum and Inch, 4 wins in a row. They lost the opening day against Lockmore Castleiney. They beat Lura. They beat JK Brackens. They beat County Rossmore, and they beat my Carkey Burris. Now, the thing that just jumps off the page when you look at Drum and Inch's fixtures is the goals they've scored. They've scored 1 goal in the first game, 3 in the second, 3 in the fourth, 4 goals in their fourth game. 3 in their third, 4 in their fourth, and 7 in their last game. So in 5 matches of hurling in the Dan Breen Championship, they've scored 11 and 7, 18 goals in 5 games. They're averaging over 3.5 goals a game, which is unbelievable. And I went down through it. They actually have 10 different goal scorers in those 5 games, which is just an incredible statistic. If you don't believe me, I'll show you. Where have I Drum and Inch, Nina and Drum? This is here. So that might be a little bit small for you there. But here's the Drum and Inch scores. And you can see, Jamie Bergen has scored a goal in the championship. Paddy Canan has scored 1. Jack Lillis, John Ryan has scored 1. Cormac Cahill has scored 2. David Butler has scored 2. David Collins has scored 2. Cormac Fitzpatrick has scored 2 goals. Lorcan Campion has got a goal in the championship against Brackens. And Shemi Callan has scored 4 goals in the championship. Shemi Callan, 441. Like, how unbelievable is that? Like, and in fairness, Mikey Heffernan has scored 141 in 1 less games. But yeah, so that's just some little stats I have there for Nina. So Drum coming in off the back of 4 wins, huge confidence, back to a semi-final. They haven't been in a final since 2012. That was a loss to Thurles Sarsfields. They've won 1 final, that was in 2011. Similar to Nina, they've only won Dan Breen in their history. That was in 1995, 30 years ago. They've lost a few finals since then. Their most recent one was 2018 to County Rossmore. So for Nina, beat Thurles Sarsfields on the first day. That was that kind of James Mackey goal that kind of ignited them in the second half. Then they were beaten by Cashel in a kind of real underperformance, a lot of wides on the day, a real windy day in Bursley. Then they dispatched of Mullinahone in the final round, 224 to 211. And then they had that quarter-final win over Killer One McDonough's, 124 to 215. So that's how the teams have gotten here. Some key matchups and key things to think about. Drummond Inch, do they start David Butler? Do they start Johnny Ryan? David Butler made such a big difference when he came in. I would suspect that they don't. I don't think they will. I think they probably have. They might feel that they have enough in the reserves to not play those lads until the second half. Them, the likes. Those are two lads that have given a lot to Drummond Inch, and 60 minutes out in Semple Stadium. They're kind of better lads to bring on rather than start and bring on a younger lad. If you get me, that's what I would imagine anyway. I have a slight leaning towards Drummond Inch in this game. Now, I did lean Killer One in the other game against Nina, so I don't want Nina people thinking I have something against them. Why do I think Drummond Inch? Like, I can talk myself either way, so when I think of this Nina team, I think really athletic, and then, the likes of Conor Hennessy, Mason Cawley, Josh Keller well able to move with the ball, Sam O'Farrell, of course, really good athlete, Jake Morris, as we all know as well. Then they have the likes of the Heffernans, Barry Heffernan hurling unbelievable, sweeping up everything. Tommy Heffernan is in really good form. Will he start? Mikey Heffernan then in the best form he's been in for a while, and he's never kind of been out of form, but he's even gone up another level at the minute, Mikey Heffernan. So they have kind of all the ingredients. I always think Dermot McTiernan is a very solid goalkeeper as well. But then why do I go for Drummond Inch? And I'm nearly talking myself out of Drummond Inch now. I think Drummond Inch probably match up kind of quite well. The Campions, I'd imagine, they have options. Like Jake is the main man you need to kind of put a man marker on. And Jake, I still think he hasn't been 100% in this championship. So that's something worth noting as well. Mikey Heffernan got a heavy blow the last game as well, but he was able to finish the game, so you'd have to imagine he's going to be playing. I suppose with this Nina team, they won that last game against Killer One, but it came down to the wire. I know they rattled off 1-2 or that towards the end to win, but that Killer One team was very under strength on the day. The likes of Niall O'Mara wasn't 100%. Jerry Cal had to be taken off. I think Keane O'Kelly and Thomas Cleary both weren't 100%. So I just need to see it from this Nina team, I suppose, is the best way of saying it. Even against Thurles, even in that game against Thurles, I saw him that day. I saw him against Cashel, and I've just seen him come in and out of games. If they're there all the way and have that intensity the whole way, this is a really, really good Nina team. For this Drummond Inch, I've just noticed this energy about them this year. Anytime I'm there, they're loud, they're aggressive, they've got loads of good hurlers, and a lot of their good players are in really good form. Seamus Callan in an unbelievable form. Cormac Fitzpatrick, if I pull up his statistics, Cormac Fitzpatrick has scored 217 from play in the championship, and I'm nearly sure he's under 20 next year, like for Tipperary. So that's to go with 441 for Seamus Callan, which is mad. I've mentioned the Campions all in good form, 1-9 for Larkin Campion. John Campion is 6 points. Podge Campion is doing really well back there. I love that full back line of Fintan Purcell. Kevin Hassett going really well. Robbie Long is having a great campaign as well. So I like a lot of the players that Drummond Inch do have. So I have a leaning towards Drummond Inch, but I could see Nina winning this one as well. So I will probably go with Drummond Inch to win this game. But as I said, this one could go either way. So we will go with Drummond Inch to win this game. And yeah, would that be? That would be Drummond Inch, Lockmore, Castellini final, which would be an interesting one with neighbouring parishes. But I will go with Drummond Inch just about. I'm hesitant though. You can hear it in my voice. I'm hesitant. I think if Nina are to win this, and if Nina are to win the county final, I think Jake probably has to rattle off 2 or 3 goals between the next 2 games, and Jake Morris could rattle off 6 goals in the next 2 games. He's that type of player. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'm struggling with that one. I'm going to lean Drummond Inch. I'm leaning Drummond Inch. That's just my feeling. And it's probably because recency bias as well. The last time I saw Drummond Inch, they scored 7 goals. Last time I saw Nina, It was just a one goal, wasn't it, for a finish? Yeah. So, but one thing worth mentioning as well, I don't think Drom and Inch will get away with the directness they did against Mike Harkey against Nina, and that's because Barry Heffernan will sweep and mop up everything. Now, who they put on Seamus Callan is an interesting one. Do they have just someone like a Conor Hennessy following him around the place? That'll be an interesting matchup. Um, God, I am sitting on the fence on this one, aren't I? I am going to go with Drom and Inch, but Nina could 100% win it. Okay, I mean, that's not that's not a back out, but that's just I just have a slight feeling for Drom and Inch. I don't know what it is. It's the energy. It's the fact I saw him score 7 goals last time out. Um, yeah, let's go with Drom and Inch. Just about. Right, on to the Premier Intermediate, because I could spend the next half an hour just bouncing back and forth with myself over those games. We'll continue with the semi-finals and then we'll do relegation at the end. Right, on to the Premier Intermediate. Borlaughin Duala against Carrick Swan. This is on Saturday at 1:30 in Semple Stadium. This is semi-final. Carrick Swan beaten in the final last year by a couple of points. Was it 215 to 17 points or something like that against Cashel? Borlaughin beaten in the preliminary quarter-final last year against Cashel as well. So interesting with the Premier Intermediate, the 4 remaining teams are the 4 group winners, as far as I'm nearly sure. Upper Church won Group 3. I think Borlaughin won Group 2. Carrick Swan won Group 4. And Garton Who won Group 1. So it's the 4 group winners left, which is just, I don't know, it's just something worth mentioning. But let's pull up my sheet there for this game. Excuse me. Borlaughin against Cashel. So the interesting stat I have in my limited research of this game so far is for Borlaughin. Tossie Ryan has scored 343 in the championship for them. The rest of their team combined has scored 335. So Tossie Ryan has been in unbelievable form, and he's been the kind of, you know, he's obviously the free taker as well. So he has scored his fair share of placed balls. What has he got? Let me make that a little bit bigger as well. He scored, 343, 1 penalty, 33 free. So he scored, 210 from play across the 4 games. They've won all their games, haven't they? Yeah, they have. Let me pull it up there. Sorry, they lost to Templederry in the last round. So Borlaughin beat the Mines 122 to 217. Beat Aeroganicarthy 122 to 217. They lost that final round game. They're already top of the group. That was to Templederry 218 to 322. And then they won their quarter-final against Moneygall 216 to 114. A kind of a late, was a Pagahan goal, and that really pushed them over the line. That was a real tight game throughout. So this is really good from Borlaughin all throughout the year. Obviously up from the intermediate 3 years ago, I want to say, when they beat Golden Kilfeacle in the final. And they've really held their own at this grade. They got out last year, obviously, preliminary quarter-final, topped the group this year, didn't have to worry about a preliminary quarter-final, and now they're into a semi-final. For Carrick Swan, it's just been W's all year. They won the South Championship. They've won all their games. They bet Clonakilty first time out, beat Killinall, beat St Mary's by a point, and they beat the Silvermines last time out by 4 points. Probably haven't gotten to the heights maybe just yet, but I just feel like the stadium suits them. Obviously, the main men for them, Callum Lanigan has scored 38 points in the championship, but Stephen Tobin has been very good, 2-7 for him in the championship. Aaron Dunn was very good against the Mines, 4 points. He scored 110 in the championship in total. So who do I think is going to win this game? I just think Carrick Swan, because they've been my fancy all throughout the year. Them and Garton Who have kind of been the teams I had at the top in my tier list. I had Burgess there as well, but parochial, club love dies hard. I will go with Carrick Swan to win this one. I just think they're on a bit of a mission, and that doesn't count for much really. Everyone's on a mission, but they're trying to get back to a county final. They have a lot of really nice hurlers, and I think I just think the big spaces, the O'Hallorans, Aaron Dunn, Stephen Tobin, they have that little bit more firepower than they did last year. Borlaughin, have we seen, are very reliant on Tossie Ryan. What happens in a day where he gets bottled up a little bit? Could that happen? Let's see where this goes. I'm not 100% convinced, but I will lean Carrick Swan to win that one and get back into the county final. The other game then is Gartnahoe Glengool against Upperchurch Drumban. For Upperchurch, or for Gartnahoe, they beat Ballina last time out. Let me pull up my sheet for this game. And this is Borlandwell, Cashel. Where are we? Why is this gone? There it is. Gartnahoe Glengool against Upperchurch Drumban. Right. So for this game, Gartnahoe, W's all round, won against Moyne Templetooey on the opening day. Just got over the line that day. Had a big win against Thurles Sarsfields, 323 to 218. Beat Sean Tracy's last time out in the last round of the group stages, 223 to 121. And then beat Ballina in the quarterfinals, 224 to 219. And Ronan Tehan, as we mentioned in last week's podcast, was unbelievable in that game. He scored 2-6 that day. He's got 3-10 from playing the championship. Dara Maher has got 3-7 in the championship, and Keane Hayes 141 for him. So they have scoring prowess. For Upperchurch, Upperchurch have been really kind of tight. Look at all they've look how little they've conceded. They haven't put up big scores either, but drew the first time out 18 points to 115 against Moneygall. They beat Burgess 124 to 16 points in the second round. 1 point win against Ballina in the final round. That was the Gavin Ryan free that dropped into the back of the net. Last kind of puck of the game, 116 to 115. And then their best performance so far was against Killinall, 20 points to 112. Pat Ryan, Paddy Phelan on really good form that day. So Upperchurch were at this stage last year. They lost after extra time against Cashel. They'll feel that they're ready, similar to Carrickswan, to go again for Gartnahoe. They were in the final. Who beat them in the final? Was it Lura beat them in the final? Do I have that right? God, do I have that right? Was it Lura who beat them? Am I right there? Gartnahoe, let me see. Seamus Oreen Cup. I've spelled that wrong now, but hopefully Google helps me out. God, Google couldn't help me out because I put a P at the start of Seamus somehow. I don't know how that happened. Right, Seamus Oreen. God, come on, Paul. Speed up. Seamus Oreen Cup, right. And then we have the list of finals. Gartnahoe, Ross Gray, 2022. Yeah, you might have been shouting at the screen. So, I remember that final. It was Darryl Ryan, the Ross Gray goalkeeper, had an unbelievable game that day. So Gartnahoe trying to get back to that point. Look, if you look at the score in there, Gartnahoe are the team that scores more, but Upperchurch do have that in them. Like we saw that in that shootout against Cashel last year. Now maybe since that shootout, they've just decided to kind of shut up shop maybe and have low scoring games that they're able to win. I will favour Gartnahoe here just because of that scoring presence. Ronan T and Dara Maher, Damien Corbett probably yet to light up the championship if you're looking at his overall scoring. Just the 6 points in the championship for him so far. But Upperchurch have a lot of physical players too. Obviously the Shannons and all the Grants. Gavin Ryan, Keith Ryan, they're really stout at the back. So this is kind of, I nearly see this as defence against attack. You look at Gartnahoe's defence, they haven't kept a clean sheet all season. They've been conceding 1-2 goals in every game. Not a lot of goals by any stretch, but I kind of see it as the attack of Gartnahoe against the defence of Upperchurch Drumban. Sometimes semi-finals can get cagey, and that might favour Upperchurch Drumban, but I am going to go with Gartnahoe Glengool to win this game, and I'm predicting a Gartnahoe Glengool Carrickswan kind of final there. Right, let's go on to the next pair of semi-finals. This is the Intermediate Championship. Both of these games 2:30 on Saturday. We've Knockavilla Kickham's against Bursacane in Templetooey, and then inside in Cashel we've Golden Kilfeacle against Kappa White. So I'm going to start with this Golden Kilfeacle and Kappa White game first. Repeat of the West final where Kappa White got a few goals. Did they get like 3 goals in injury time and in additional time to beat Golden? Kappa White got the late goals. They've been making a habit of it. They got late scores against Ballingarry to get to this point. I do fancy Golden Kilfeacle here. They've been my team all year that I've predicted to win this out, so I am going to go with Golden Kilfeacle. They're going to be sick after that West final defeat in that manner. They'll love to get one back over Kappa White. Kappa White, it's been hard to predict with Kappa White because they've had the late show in a number of their games. If we go back through the fixtures here, Kappa White, they beat Ballingarry last time out. We mentioned that. They weren't in a preliminary quarter-final, sure they weren't. No. And then round 3 of the group stages. Let's scroll down here. Who did Kappa White play? Kappa White, yeah, they drew at Moy Rovers that last time out. They beat Portroe and they beat Skeena Rinky, wasn't it? I think I have that right. Yeah, they beat Skeena Rinky, beat Portroe in the opening round when Port had a man down. So it's been a bit of a mixed grill in terms of being able to predict Kappa White. But I think Golden maybe just the more steadier team, have the scoring power, and yeah, I am going to go with Golden Kilfeacle there. But this is a two West teams. There'll be a real West Championship feel to that, but I am going to go with Golden Kilfeacle. Right, Knockavilla against Bersicane. And a reminder while I still have you, if you haven't liked the video at this point, we're trying to get to 100 likes. Be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Right, Bersicane against Knockavilla Donesky Kickham's. Knockavilla in the quarterfinals. Well, first with Bersicane in the quarterfinals, they had that unbelievable win against Kilsheal and Kilcash. Was it 423 to 421 or something like that for Knockavilla? A bit more straightforward. They beat Moy Rovers in the quarterfinals. That game was in Bansha, and comfortable enough, I would say, in that game. So, God, who do I think is going to win this one? Knockavilla, Adam Daly. I don't want to just start naming players, but Adam Daly, obviously, Owen Horgan goals, Stephen Brown, Freeze, Bersicane, all the Ryans, Kieran Foley, the Larkins in good form. I am going to go with Bersicane, right? We'll go maybe North Tip bias there. We're going to go with Bersicane to get back. Why? I think this is going to be a really close game. I find that really hard to call. So I can't give you a real coherent reason. I am just going to go with Bersicane to win that one. So Golden Kilfeacle and Bersicane are my predictions there. Now we go down to the relegation. The most cagey, tense matches of the weekend that no one in these clubs are looking forward to whatsoever. Lura against Mullinahone is on Sunday at 2:30 in Templemore. Lura, who I've always been said, actually both of these teams I've been impressed with throughout the campaign. Mullinahone, of course, well bet by Clonalty last time out. Lura beaten by Roscrea. I think this might be the hardest game to call of the weekend. No one wants to be here. I think Mullinahone will be one of the last teams I'd want to play in a relegation final. They're just physical. They've good hurlers. They're strong, tough. Who do I think is going to win this? I always think Lura have a lot of scores. And similarly, this time of year, these matches can turn into more tense affairs than free-flowing scoring. Now, I know if you're talking relegation semi-finals, the Burgess Templederry game was just a wild one altogether in terms of scoring, but they tend to be cagey enough affairs, particularly relegation finals. So that might favour Mullinahone a little bit, in my head at the very least. But I think I'm going to go with Lura. Ken Hogan is on co-commentary with me on Saturday, so he'll have something to say if I say Mullinahone here. But I just think Lura's scoring prowess. Bonner, I think I mention Owen McIntyre every time I mention Lura, just his style of play. Colin Fogarty. I do like Michael Dolan at centre back, and I've really liked Donica O'Mara as well in corner forward for Lura this year. For Mullinahone, all the players they have a lot of effective players that I think this time of year might suit them a little bit. Interesting to see Jack Shelley. How is he going to play? He'd obviously be a huge boost. God, we're going to go with Lura. We're going to go with Lura to win that game. Next up is Burgess against Clonakilty. This is Saturday at 3:45 in Cloughjordan. It's the Premier Intermediate relegation final. Burgess, my own club, as you know, against Clonakilty. Both teams have lost 4 games in a row to get here. Well, 4 games in the county championship, all 4 of their games. We were beat by Templederry, mine Templetui, bet Clonakilty last time out. I usually just kind of skip over the Burgess matches because I don't want to say anything that might give another team, or the classic GAA thing of, I'd want to say something that the other team could pin on a wall or something like that. But who cares? What I have to say really. But for Clonakilty, watching their game back against mine Templetui, Bobby Bergen I mentioned was very good. Obviously Keane O'Dwyer is their kind of main man. and Diarmuid Ryan is someone, he's a real kind of stylish hurler. They have a lot of physical lads. This is going to be tough in Clough Jordan for ourselves. We haven't had a good year, obviously, if we're in a relegation final, so we're just hoping, I'm just hoping that we can get over the line in this one and forget about the year. So, as always, I am going to go for Burgess, and hopefully this time right now. Some of the lads are saying, Paul, stop saying Burgess because you've predicted us to win every game and we've lost every game. So I'm going to put it back on the lads to, prove me right that I'm going to go with Burgess here. So I'm going to be having that one probably on my phone while I'm in Semple Stadium. Unfortunately, I'll be working at the time. I'll be at the Lockmore Holy Cross game, so I'll be probably watching through my fingers on Clubber there for that one on Saturday. So I am going to go with Burgess. This next game then is the intermediate relegation final. The ultimate relegation dodgers, it feels like, has been Ballybacon Grange, and I mean that in a good way. They always find a way to get out of the relegation struggle in intermediate. They're against Drummondinch's second team, who took Newport to extra time in the relegation semi-final. Ballybacon were beaten by, off the top of my head, God, who did Ballybacon lose to last time out? Let me pull that up. Did I have that in front of me? That wasn't on the preliminary quarter final weekend, was it? Ballybacon lost to Skeen or Inky. Okay, yeah. I think I'm going to go with Drummondinch's second team in this one. Although Ballybacon just don't get relegated, so it's really hard to back against Ballybacon here. Drummondinch's second team, obviously their main team is still training. They're still all training there. God, am I actually going to go against Ballybacon in a relegation semi-final? Or relegation final? It is a hard thing to do. I am going to go with Ballybacon or Drum. Look, we've said they avoid relegation. What's one more roll of the dice? Ballybacon. We'll go with Ballybacon to avoid relegation in that one. Let's just do it. Ballybacon to avoid the drop in that one against Drummondinch's second team. Let's see how it goes. So yeah, those are my predictions for the games ahead. As I said, the 4 semi-finals in Semple Stadium this weekend, the 2 senior, the 2 Premier Intermediate. I'll be commentating them on Tip FM if you do want to tune in. If you're out and about, tune in to us there on Tip FM. Let me know your predictions below, what you think. What do I have way off? What are some things you're looking forward to over the weekend? Who marks John McGrath? Who marks Jake Morris? Shamie Callan? Who picks up these fellas? How do Holy Cross set up? All those things. Get active in the comment section below. If you want to send on any questions or anything like that, at P Carroll Sport on Twitter, on Instagram, even over on TikTok if that's something you're into following. That's how I see the games going. A lot of close games, some really, really good games. And it feels like this county championship, certainly for me, has flown by anyway. So, this is our second last preview podcast of the county championship season. So, I hope you've enjoyed it. Like the video if you haven't already. And one final reminder, if you could, if you do want to enter that 1,000 shot challenge, the link is in the description of Spotify and YouTube. You've seen the QR code on the screen down below me throughout the video. So November the 1st is when I'm doing it, but get in before the tickets sell out if you want to take part. So €5 for one number, €20 for 5 numbers is the kind of way I've done it. So if you've enjoyed the video, like it. Have a really good weekend. As I said, I'm kind of caught up next Monday, so I won't be able to look back on much of the games. Of course, I'll be there in person to see 4 of the games live, and I'll try and catch up with the other games as quickly as I can. Should have the review podcast out then come Tuesday evening is when I'm planning to have it done anyway. I'll keep you up to date anyway if those plans change. Instagram, Twitter at P Carroll Sport. Right, have a good weekend. Enjoy the games. Let me know your predictions below, and we will see you on the review podcast. Good luck and God bless.